I want you to picture this. It's a nice Sunday evening, okay? And you just bought Fallout 4. You played Fallout 1, that was great. You played Fallout New Vegas, that was amazing, okay? But Fallout 4 doesn't have one thing that you loved in Fallout New Vegas, and that is the anti-material rifle. But, as we all should know by now, the Creation Club does exist in Fallout 4, which then brought us the anti-material rifle. If you go to your quests tab after buying it, you get a quest called the Paper Mirror. So, without further ado, let's go and see how we do this quest. When doing this quest, it'll bring us to the Museum of Witchcraft. Now, if you know what this place is, you know that it is truly nightmare fuel. But if you don't, you're about to find out why. Now, when you first go here, it just looks like a normal museum, okay? Nothing too interesting about it. But when you go out here, you'll find some dead corpses. We don't really care about them right now because that is not a part of the quest that we're doing. So, of course, head into the basement. Now, when you walk into the Museum of Witchcraft, you'll hear rumbling, chewing, all that stuff. You know, pretty scary things. If you were to, go through this place by yourself, alone in the dark, without watching a YouTube video like, you are now, it would be a lot more terrifying than me just walking through it and pretending like it's not scary. Because I will be honest, when I was a kid, yeah, I was pretty scared too. So, continuing on, you read a note that says, Guy's story, or whatever your character's name is, story. Guy picked up the note. It was kind of a shock, seeing his name there. Not that there wasn't a reasonable explanation for it. It could be he just misread the page. It could be the museum just had him spooked. Or maybe some other wasteland just so happened to share the same name, Guy. And the note was meant for him. Whatever the reason, Guy decided to keep reading. Why the hell not? There was no guarantee the words on the page were referring to him. It was only a paper mirror. A reflection made up of words on a page. Besides, the only way to know for sure was to keep reading till the end. But even then, having read the page and learned his future, there was no reason to take the words seriously. At some point, he would go back outside and wander the wasteland again, and perhaps even forget about the note altogether. Eventually, those travels would bring him to the Dugout Inn in Diamond City. Of course, Guy wasn't there on business. He just wanted to relax, but as he walked into the inn, amidst the glowing of neon, something to the right caught his eye. Posted on the wall was a bounty for a killer named Zayn. Someone wanted him dead. Now, after reading that cryptic note, you might want to explore the museum a little bit more. And, rounding this corner, you'll find a Deathclaw. To be honest, we don't really need to worry about this. It's not too important, to be honest. There's no real point. You can literally just, just kill, I can't do the command. Let's just leave. When leaving the museum, you might want to take the, advice the paper gave you. So you'll want to head out to the Dugout Inn in Diamond City. Avoiding the confrontation here because no one really cares about if this guy's brother is a synth. He dies, whoop-de-doo. So turn behind you, go up these stairs, but not really, just jump off the railing, do some parkour, and then go into the Dugout Inn. Once here, you want to walk forward and then read some notes. It says, Wanted, bounties here. Interesting. Raiders in Backstreet Apparel, talking about how there's just some raiders, they'll have money, gear, supplies, whatever. Okay, that's cool. But then you have the bounty in Concord, which reads, open notice to anyone with a lot of guts and in need of caps. A wastelander named Zayn has put together a gang that's been terrorizing the area near Concord. He should be considered armed and extremely dangerous. Keep what you kill. No other rewards given. Interesting. So let's go over to Concord. Going to Concord, if you remember this place from the start of the game, you might remember that there are some raiders, but we're not really going to deal with them right now. Right now, we're going to beeline it over to the Concord Speakeasy, a place that is really nice, especially if you want chems to boost, your charisma stat. Once inside the Concord Speakeasy, if we go behind the counter and go into a room, we find that Zayn is dead. If we read the note about Zayn's story, it'll say the following. The bounty on Zayn's head had grown to 1,000 caps. That's how notorious he had become. But he knew that it didn't matter how expensive the bounty got, or how many hunters came after him. All he had to do was flip the book ahead and read to the next page of the chapter of his story. It told him everything he needed to know. He knew where the attackers were coming from, and when they'd arrive. The mirror showed him everything, but every time he turned a page, it brought him closer and closer to the end. Now, there were no more pages left. Someone was coming for him. Someone bad. And no amount of preparation would help him survive. At first, Zayn refused to believe it. He tore out the page in anger and slammed it into the table. When the time came, he'd bunker down in the old Concord Speakeasy and kill whoever came walking through that door. But when he read the words and discovered the hunter had a mirror of their own, he knew there was no escape. He was going to die tonight, and his friends would soon follow. The only measure of satisfaction he could get was to kill himself before the bounty hunter got there first. So he sat down, took out the vodka, the one he'd been saving for after he got out of the Commonwealth. He popped it open, took a sip, and with his other hand, he pulled the trigger. So Zayn found out that, someone was coming for him. That person presumably being us, because we have a mirror of our own. You can find a handwritten note. It will betray you. Interesting. And on the table, you can find Zayn's associates, which reads, Silas, sent to faded Glory laundromat on business. Connor, a-hole stole that anti-material rifle we got from the gunners. I know it. Heard he's starting a new crew near Green Tech Genetics. I'm gonna have to pay him a visit. Ivy, almost forgot about her. Probably still waiting at Prost Bar. And that's it. So, we'll go from top of the list to the bottom. First, we're gonna go find Silas at the Lexington laundromat. When first reaching Lexington, nothing really special happens, other than the fact that, this place kinda sucks if I'm being completely honest here. So continuing forward and entering the laundromat, we'll find our first victim, Silas. Silas, when you first enter, is very hostile, but killing him is pretty easy. He serves no challenge whatsoever, and can be one-shot. Literally. So, reading his note, you will find Silas's story. Zayn handed Silas the pages that pertained him, and told him to head out to Lexington. They'd been stashing the bodies in the old washing machines for weeks now. Silas nodded his head reluctantly. The truth is, he didn't want anything to do with whatever voodoo was in that book. The thing scared him enough just by having his name in it. But what spooked him even more was when they found the book, some of the pages were missing. Pretty creepy, not gonna lie. And yes, looking in the dryers, you can find human remains, which is frankly kind of terrifying. Next on the chopping block is Connor, who supposedly stole the anti-material rifle. You can find him near Green Tech Genetics, so let's go find him, shall we? Now, when you first enter here, you're gonna get attacked by a lot of raiders, but you'll find who you're looking for pretty fast. The dude named Connor, holding the weapon that was supposedly stolen. So, killing him, and killing the rest of his goons that he has, it's pretty simple. But here we can find the anti-material rifle. Looking horrible right now, but we don't worry about that. On Connor, you can find Connor's story. Reading it while being shot at, funny enough, reads, Connor ripped the pages from the book one night when Zayn was sleeping. He knew the boss hadn't gotten to that part yet, or else Connor would be dead. The truth was, he'd been thinking of killing Zayn for weeks now. He was talking nonsense about retiring, going to Far Harbor with some girl he met at a bar. Connor knew Zayn was full of crap, but he also knew he was getting soft. That's why he built a little hideout near Green Tech Genetics, in the tall building by the river. When the time was right, he'd set up base there and start a crew of his own, with Zayn's money and his gun. And what a gun it was. It was called an anti-material rifle, and it ate through power armor like a hot knife through butter. Zayn had no use for it. The only reason he had it was because of that book. So it was only right for Connor to use the same book to relieve him of the burden. The last one on the chopping block is a lady named Ivy. Now, sneaking past Swan in Swan's Pond, we will find exactly where we need to go. A little shack, a little building. A basement, to be exact, actually, with a blue door. The Prost Bar. Interesting name. Going into the bar, it's pretty empty. Apparently it's a reference to a TV show. I don't know what TV show that one is, but someone might know. But Ivy will be sitting at a table, readying herself because she's ready to shoot someone. Now, she says, "Please let me go." So, you can either do two things: kill her or leave. Right now, just for, reasons, story-wise, we're gonna have to sadly kill her. She hasn't done anything wrong, but we still have to. So shooting her and killing her in a single shot with the anti-material rifle, we can now pick up Ivy's story. And, well, that completes the quest. But let's read what Ivy's story is. Ivy knew she had to run. She had to run, get far away from the Commonwealth, to a place where she could start over. She didn't mean to kill him. What happened was an accident. He told her he'd done this before, that he had experience with chems. It didn't dawn on her until later. He was just trying to impress her. The problem was she hadn't heard from Zayn in weeks. They had met only a month earlier, at a bar in Good Neighbor. He said he was a smuggler. When she told him her story, he sympathized with her. He even promised to help her get to Far Harbor, for a price. Something about him scared her, but she was desperate to leave, and didn't know any other way, so she decided to believe him. The plan was to meet here at Prost Bar. Perhaps if she just stayed in place, Zayn would come for her. It was too dangerous outside, and there were enough rations in the bar to hold her for another week. She just had to be patient. Someone would come. Unfortunately for her, someone did. Going back into the bar to do what this quest says, find out what happened to Ivy. She's gone. And all that's left is Ivy's story. It says the exact same thing, but instead, it said this. The plan was to meet here at Prost Bar. Perhaps if she just stayed in place, Zayn would come for her. It was too dangerous outside, and there was enough rations for her to stay in the bar for another week. She just had to be patient. Someone would come, and someone did. But while the hunter came to find a killer, something told him to stay his hand. It could have been pity for the young woman, or perhaps it was just a desire to circumvent fate. Whatever the reason, Guy chose to do what few before him dared to. He rejected the story that was written in the mirror, and took his fate in his own hands. When the other hunters came, Guy fought them off. In that moment, Ivy saw her chance to escape. She knew of another exit, one where she wouldn't be followed. Part of her wanted to say thank you to the stranger for sparing her life, but she couldn't risk dying along with him. In the end, she left behind the pages of her mirror. Maybe that would be thanks enough. So that ends the quest, the paper mirror. Both choices, one bad, one good. One morally right and one not. So let's go see what this anti-material rifle can really do. I'll see you guys there. Going onto a workbench and looking at everything that you can do to customize this, I would say the best suggestion, for me at least, would be the calibrated powerful receiver for more critical damage and accuracy, as well as 70 damage. The, of course, long encased barrel. The marksman's light stock, unless you just want the marksman stock, or the full stock even, but I would just say the marksman one is better. Of course, you'd want a large magazine. You would want, of course, just a long scope, since no one wants a recon scope. Yeah. And of course, a custom bolt, because why not? Faster fire rate is pretty good. But with that said, I hope you guys liked this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.